Hi everyone, welcome to our video. We are Group 7 and we are going to talk about CO2 levels in recent years and what does it mean. First of all, we'll start with a small introduction of CO2. CO2 is a colorless and odorless non-compostable greenhouse gas that contributes to global warming, formed by complete combustion of fossil fuels, coal, charcoal, natural gas, petroleum, and other carbon-containing products. It is released also through respiration by living organisms and by the daily gradual oxidation of organic matter in soil. CO2, carbon dioxide, is also known as a greenhouse gas because as part of the Earth's atmosphere, CO2 prevents harmful sun rays from entering the Earth, and it also traps the energy from the sun, which keeps the world at a livable temperature. But an increasing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere associated with human activities can pose global problems and natural disasters. So now you wonder, where does all these carbon emissions come from? And how are they increasing? More than 50% of carbon emission come from huge manufacturing industries around the world. Generating electricity contributes to half of the carbon emissions that come from manufacturing industries. Regarding to the vast number of vehicles around the world, transportation is the second largest source of producing huge quantities of CO2. Trees are potent organisms for absorbing and removing CO2 emissions from the air. Cutting trees down will stop the process, and as a result, more carbon dioxide will accumulate in the atmosphere. Now that we've known what causes CO2 level to rise, we need to answer the question from our topic, which is what is CO2 level in recent years? After doing a bit of research, we came to a conclusion that the level of CO2 has been increasing in recent years. But you might ask, who's responsible for all this carbon dioxide emission? The biggest manufacturing countries are the ones producing huge quantities of CO2. We discovered that the most country with CO2 emission is China with 23%, America at 19%, Europe at 13%, and lastly India at 6%, while most but not all countries contribute to the rest of the world's carbon emission. That brings us to the next question, which is, what does it mean if CO2 level is increasing? It means that we could be facing global warming along with the impacts of climate change, which is not something we would want to experience. Although most of these events has been happening already, we do not plan to see them again in the future, because it could get worse. Most importantly, we might not be able to escape or come back from it. It looks something like this. The growing temperature in the atmosphere has caused plants to die. It has also brought drought to many plantations and farms, leaving animals dehydrated. In some areas, waters are being intoxicated by the harmful chemicals that have reacted with the excess carbon dioxide in the air. In some areas, the rise in temperature has allowed or caused bushfires that have happened more recently. The rise in temperature also means that the ice caps in the North Pole will be melting. Landscapes will be changed, and as a result, sea levels will rise. Now, the rise of sea levels can cause really devastating impacts on low-lying islands. Keep in mind that the rapid change in climate would also disrupt the weather patterns around the globe, creating huge and more storms. Now that we have seen the impact of global warming, let's all work together and prevent carbon emission